Hello everyone, welcome back to the Mindful Podcast, and today we have got on Lauren. This episode is absolutely brilliant and it's given us such an insight of the world of mental health and much more than what we've already known. Lauren takes us through her background and why she became a psychotherapist. She covers her dad's suicide, and we also cover about psychosis, mindfulness, trauma, and how the body remembers but the brain doesn't, and the work that she's currently doing and the research that she's doing in order to help young men with their mental health problems. This podcast is very educational, I will say this, and it may resonate with someone that you know, may resonate with yourself, and I feel like it's definitely something that we can do more of to help more people. This is a part 1, and Lauren will be coming back for part 2, so hence why it's only a short episode. But for the shortness, please do enjoy it, and we will see you next time. Bye now. Loz.
Yeah.
How are you?
How am I? I'm all right. How are you?
I'm not too bad at all. No. So this is your first podcast.
Yeah.
So I actually want to say thanks for coming onto our podcast because we're starting to get a couple of people now starting to come to us. And from what you were saying, you've definitely got a story that you want to share, bring some awareness. And I'm actually really intrigued because what you're coming on today for is actually a lot of what we're trying to send out.
Right.
So to give the audience who are watching, who will listen, a bit of a background about yourself. Who are you?
Who am I? Well, my name's Lauren. I grew up in Kirby. People say I'm not a Scouser, but I am. And yeah, grew up there, and basically I've come on to kind of talk about my dad and what happened with him, like kind of growing up. You know, he took his own life. Just thought I'd like try and bring some kind of awareness as to like how that kind of played out for me, and kind of what stuff's out there, what kind of support's out there going forwards, because I struggled a lot at the time and didn't really know what was out there. And now there's a lot kind of community, like grassroots stuff out there that wasn't really around at the time. So yeah, I don't know whether you want me to expand on any more about me, what I've done. Like,
yeah, we'll do a little more of a deep dive about yourself. Could you say that you come from like a bit of a psychotherapy background?
Yeah.
So what about that then? Like, how did you get into that? Why did you get into that?
Yeah, I got into it because of him, to be honest. So like when I was growing up, I was always clever in school, but I was quite naughty because I had quite a troubled upbringing with my dad. He was into all kinds, wasn't really around a lot, doing kind of naughty things and stuff like that. And I was like I was academic, but I was also like looked up to him a lot. And he had like family who like owned nightclubs and stuff like that. And I kind of had that thing in my mind, what to do. Do I go that way, the way my dad went, and go into like all the nightclub stuff? And he was like taking me training and like kickboxing and stuff like that, and saying, "Do you want a nightclub in the future?" and stuff like that. Or I had this like clever side, this academic side that I wanted to follow, but I wasn't a nerd. As I say, I was quite naughty in school, like, but didn't really apply myself at school, but managed somehow to get good grades. And ended up, didn't want to stay in that small town where I was from because the people just thought they were backwards. And went to a community college and done humanity. I went towards the humanities side of things because I always loved like English literature and language, but I was dead good at science. So I didn't really know where I was going. So I done my A-levels and then applied to philosophy and literature at the Uni of Liverpool. I got in there. I thought they were all up their own arse. It didn't really suit me, and I was going through a lot myself at the time with my own kind of mental health, with stuff that was going on with my family and stuff like that. My dad was struggling, I was struggling. And during that time, that was around the time when my dad took his own life. So I went from that degree, dropped out, and then I'd got into a bit of trouble myself got into a bit of trouble with myself, so couldn't kind of go through a couple of other traditional routes for stuff. So I just heard I think I heard an advert on the radio for mental health nursing, and I thought, if I can help someone, if I've gone through something, and I've got kind of knowledge of what things are like, you know, like being on the streets and having like a knowledge of it, but also having that like, what do you want to call it? That theoretical knowledge. So I applied and then done a mental health nursing degree and got a first class in that. And then went into mental health nursing. So absolutely loved it. And then started working on the old Stoddart, if you know, Stoddart House in Zachley Hospital. Do you know?
Heard of it?
Yeah, working with men. 'Cause that's who I always wanted to work with, like men who were acutely mentally unwell, like 26 bedded inpatient male units. I absolutely loved it, but you know, within the constraints of the NHS, you can't really do much for people. And it was all like focused on medication and just getting people in and out and back into the communities they were into and back into the same habits they were into and stuff. And there was not much therapy there. And it felt like I couldn't really do much, like apart from, you know, not babysitting, but just dishing out tablets and stuff on a ward. So then I started thinking about doing therapy. So I applied to do a cognitive behavioural psychotherapy masters, and my manager at the time said they'd support me, and then they backtracked on it the day before I was about to go away on holiday. But I just thought, F it, I'm going to do it. And then I used my own savings, and then done that. So I was working full time, doing a master's, and then doing a psychotherapy placement at the same time at Mossley Hill, the psychotherapy rooms by the old hospital there. Done that. And then ended up in community mental health doing CBT. And then it was all focused around, I developed a specialism in psychosis, you know, people who are at risk of developing psychosis, because that was something my dad suffered with. And yeah, done me masters and then ended up in an early intervention and psychosis team. And then started noticing loads of issues with the pathway that I was in charge of like running, and then started doing some research, and then that's how I applied for the next thing, and that's how I'm doing my PhD now.
Oh God, you've actually done a lot already, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like a lot. For anyone that doesn't know, what is psychosis? Because it's a word that you hear, but I don't feel like a lot of people would actually know what it is or what it really does to you.
Yeah, and I think there's loads of awareness now, isn't
I know.
it?
Yeah.
I have it.
Yeah?
Did you?
Yeah. Scariest thing ever. But
Yeah. How did that resolve itself, or?
Just I got sectioned, and then obviously, as you were saying, like, you just fed medication, aren't you?
Yeah.
But when I got out, I kind of knew what I needed to do, like to change my life. So started getting in the gym, just into my meditation, like writing my thoughts and stuff like that, and that helped me massively. Do you know what I mean? And thankfully, I haven't gone back to that. So
wow.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's like there's like two different spheres, isn't it? There's like the NHS and the medical model, and then you've got like the holistic stuff, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Like that's what I always like come up a cropper with, you know, in my career, because I'm working for the NHS and the government, but then I've got my own kind of heads with like the holistic side of things. But psychosis is. So I work with people who are at risk of developing psychosis and people who are early in psychosis. So it's whereby your thoughts and perceptions can start becoming a little bit altered and are in line with what we call reality. So any kind of paranoid ideation, paranoid thinking, kind of beliefs around, like we call them delusions, but beliefs around like people's intentions towards you, ideas of reference, like in the media, stuff like that. We talk about hallucinations, you know, hearing or seeing things that other people can't really see or hear. But there's other stuff that comes with that before that build up that I think a lot of people aren't aware about. And unfortunately, we only see people at the end stage, you know, when they get detained and they get sections. And there are supports out there for people who are struggling with the really early signs. But I don't think it's put out there enough for people to know how to access it. And that's what I'm trying to do with the work I'm doing. It's so we work with at-risk mental states, we call them, ARMS clients. So it's usually young people aged 14 to 35 who've noticed it's usually like a drop in functioning. So like your sleep, like your hygiene, like your social stuff. And then like those low level, like paranoia, like experiences, like hearing things that other people mightn't hear, you know, feeling a bit suspicious, withdrawing from others, those types of things are like the key markers for developing into a psychosis, a full-blown psychosis.
How do people end up developing psychosis then? Is it hereditary? It is hereditary?
No, well, there is a lot of stuff around the genetic model. And I do know, like within my family, you know, my dad has it, his mum has it. So there is, you know, proof there that it does run in families. But I think a lot of it's around nurture as well. You know, like what you're grown up around, like the system around you, the family system around you. So, yeah, my dad developed it very young. He was around, I've got his medical records I was looking under my bed the other day. He was probably about 19 when he started becoming really suspicious about like neighbours, people like around him in the local community. And he started bugging people and buying tapes and taping everyone. And just thinking everyone was against him. And then that kind of escalated. But going back to what you asked about, is it hereditary? There's a lot to be said for genetics, but I also do think it's like a nature thing, like the kind of background and support system you've got around you as well. But yeah.
So, just a question to you, if you don't mind me asking. Did you notice anything like that for yourself?
All of it.
All of
Everything
it?
she said I went through.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the
What about your sleep?
hallucinations. Like that's where it started. I weren't sleeping, and then like
sleep's massive.
obviously like it's hard to get help because like my ex-girlfriend and that like rang an ambulance and that, and like I was saying to them, I'm fine, these are making it up, do you know what I mean? But really I needed help, and like I went to the hospital and that and everything, and there was like so many chances for like people to step in and help, but they were just like, there's nothing we can do until I actually ended up getting sectioned. And so like, but as you say, like it runs in my family as well, like a lot of my family have had it too, so I don't know whether that's part of the reason I had it.
Because if you're not educated in it, then it just looks like outside paranoia, doesn't it? Oh, they're paranoid then. Oh,
is it a condition or is it an illness?
It's deemed an illness, isn't it? Psychosis is deemed an illness. I don't like labels like that, but like in the services that we have like first episode psychosis, and we try and move away from a label, you know, going towards schizophrenia. Yeah. Because that label was getting thrown around with my dad before he died. But yeah, services try and move away from using that label now because the stigma that's around it. But the prevalence of it in the population's unreal, you know. The amount of, like, we call it anomalous experiences that people have is just so common. And then when young people come into the service and they realise it's normal, loads of us have it, that kind of helps them with, like, the therapy that we do to kind of support them to understand why they're thinking the way they're thinking and stuff.
Is it just making them feel a bit more normal? I should say, they're not alone. They're not against, the world isn't against them. They've got someone to talk to.
Yeah, we use CBT, so cognitive behavioural psychotherapy, and we kind of explore the reasons why people might be thinking the way they're thinking, and then we do kind of behavioural work. So we kind of experiment and challenge that. So, you know, if someone thinks Fred's down the shops looking at him funny, we do an experiment and kind of do that with them, and kind of go do some cognitive work with them and kind of test out those assumptions through doing that experiment with them. But the services that are out there for people are great for early psychosis, but I do think that people aren't aware of them. I think people aren't aware of the early access, and I always believe that prevention's better than cure. Just like yourself, like getting detained, like you could have jumped in and nipped it in the bud earlier on. And I think that, you know, presenting at A&E and stuff like that, those services need to be better educated about, like, what do we do here? Who do we refer to? Yeah.
Can I ask you a very personal question, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want? Did your dad take his life through the psychosis, or was it?
Yeah.
Because, like, I tried to take my own life as well, but like I went in the right frame of mind. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was after I'd been to the hospital and that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if someone could have like stepped in or
intervened,
they could have stopped that from getting to that point. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I just weren't sure whether your dad had,
Yeah.
you know, took his life through the psychosis.
Yeah, and he was let down by the system as well. So he was a very proud man. Never told anyone how he was feeling or what he was going through. But in the build up towards it, he did link in with a psychologist, and instead of like coming out and seeing him, they sent the police to his house. Now he was a criminal. Do you know what I mean? And he was just dead paranoid about the police, and he just freaked out, and that just totally. And I think there's lots going on with the police and the mental health services, and the police rightly say we're not mental health trained. We shouldn't be attending all these incidents, which I agree with. But then how do you manage it in the community? And I think there needs to be some reformation around that, you know, like whether it be nurses and police in plain clothes going out if there's a danger or whatever. But my dad didn't pose any danger at the time, but he went to the hospital. I think he had a severe ligature mark around his neck and said he wanted to end his life, and they sent him home. And he had, I remember going round to his, but I wasn't onto it at the time, I was only 18.
Yeah.
And he has like a cast on his arm, but I think he tried to slash his wrist.
Just give us a bit of context. How long ago was this period of time?
So he took his own life in 2009.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was only 39. He just turned 39, and then he'd done it a week after my birthday. And I'd just turned 19. So it's been a long time, really. But I didn't deal with it for a long time. I didn't know how to deal with it. Like, no one in my family really talks about it because he was quite dodgy. Like, my mum's side of the family didn't really want any dealings with it. And then his side of the family just cut the losses. So it was just kind of me on my own dealing with everything.
Did you notice a change in his behaviour, like, when you had the psychosis? Like,
yeah, because he wasn't living, I wasn't living with him. He was living on his own. And he'd split up with my mum when I was about 14. And he was living in his house where his mum and his nan lived. And he witnessed his mum die on the floor next to him of a drug overdose. And he was just in his own little world. But yeah, I noticed he wouldn't go out. He'd make sure he get to the shop as quick as he could, there and back. He started asking me, do you want to move in with me? And I was like, yeah, well, why? And he was like, so you can help me with my messages and stuff, because he was getting dead paranoid, you know, even going out if anyone was looking at him in the street or talking about him. And yeah, he put on a load of weight. He wasn't looking after his personal hygiene, and he was someone who was like into his looks, like historically, like, but and he'd talk about death and stuff, but because he'd always been a bit morbid, and I was only young and I was going through my own shit, I was just like, what's he going on about? And he'd be like, you're never going to bury me, Lord, are you? Bury me, are you? What are you going to do? And I was like, yeah, you want to be buried? And then he'd talk about his funeral songs and stuff like that. But I just thought he was just morbid. That's the way he was. But he was hiding it from me. Do you know what I mean? But those services did let him down. And I think they had ample opportunity to jump in and do something. But instead, sending the police to someone who you know is really paranoid about the police is just going to make them retreat even further, isn't it?
Yeah, because I remember our neighbours where I am now from Morton, there was a lad next door. And looking back at it now, he would make comments like, oh, I'm going to go to the park now and try and get a couple of people. We're going to heal the world. And at the time, we were just like, oh, like hippie talk and all that. He wanted to be just like, oh, this, peace and stuff. But then a few weeks later, we had people outside of the house. Now, we thought there was people coming to get him. So they were going to the house, they had the torches on and all that, looking, and there was nothing. And my girlfriend went out and she looked and went, no, we're looking for our mate. Basically, his head went, is the words that they used. She's like, what do you mean? He went, basically, we had a plan that I was going to be driving, the police were going to pull us over, and he was going to get detained so he could be sectioned, because and when they finally got into his house and the police came looking, I think the police came the day before looking for him and he went there. In his house, he was right, God is great, and like real mad stuff. God is great. Jesus is this, and just wrote it all over the walls apparently. But it's one of them. Would you say that was like at early stages from that story, like a early stage of psychosis, like I'm gonna go and heal the world, and then just trying to like be like this person that he didn't seem like he was. He was a DJ. He was just like a normal lad.
It's kind of like a crossover with like bipolar type stuff, isn't it? Like grandiosity, like ideas of grandiosity, believing that you're a healer, you're God. You've got this God complex. There's a big crossover between people who are at risk of bipolar and psychosis, and there's research going into that now, and the early stuff money being ploughed in through research that my unit's doing with people who are at risk of bipolar as well. But yeah, they're early markers for someone who's potentially becoming quite delusional and detached from reality.
Yeah. So if, for instance, then, in case I ever come across a person or someone's listening that comes across a person like that, what would be the plan of action there? So if you went, they're not themselves right now, even though they're saying that they are, what would be the course? Where would they look to go? Who would they contact?
I think early intervention and psychosis services are the main thing that we've got, and there's a lot of money gone into early intervention and psychosis services, and they're across Liverpool, Manchester, all across the country. They're really well funded in Manchester. They do a great job. Liverpool have got quite a few teams, so I'd always refer through them, and their numbers are accessible on the internet. And get an assessment with them. You can self-refer or go through the GP, and you'd have an assessment, like an at-risk of psychosis assessment, or if it's a little bit further on, they do a different type of assessment for someone who's actively looking like they've got a psychosis. But those earlier people who are maybe a bit more irritable, withdrawn, sleep issues, a little bit paranoid, but they're not full-blown, they're the people who we catch early to develop it going that full whack into, one of those episodes.
What if the person didn't want to refer themselves to it and you had to make the action yourself?
It's all about consent, isn't it? And I think you can't force someone to engage in an intervention. So that's a really difficult one. But I think it depends on the age of the person and, the relationship around the person. So I'd always encourage someone to sit down with the person and say, these are the concerns we've got. It's not a medicalised service. You're not forced to take medication if you don't want to, unless you've got to that stage where you're a danger to yourself or someone else, and that can be enforced. Medication can be an option, but with early stuff, it's usually talking therapy. It's all confidential. And in these early intervention and psychosis services, we offer up to like 26 sessions of CBT and other support with different aspects
through the
of
NHS?
Yeah.
Is it the same type of profile of men that come in? Like same maybe type of background, type of nature, the nature side?
Yeah, well, like with my dad, obviously he had a terrible childhood, into all kinds, bad lads. And yeah, you get those lads who haven't been brought up very well. They haven't got a lot of support around them. They're quite macho, so they don't want to disclose anything. You do generally get a type of, not to generalise, but it's...
Would you say a profile?
Yeah, of like, and I think it's big around like Liverpool as well, the way we are as people. We're our cases, aren't we? We don't like talking about how we feel, especially men. So yeah, younger lads, and drugs come into it as well, mixing cannabis and stuff like that.
Like drugs, like a big thing in developing psychosis, because like for me, like I blame a lot of my psychosis through smoking a lot of weed and trying other drugs, like so.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, because my dad he works in with the council and he does a lot of housing work, but he sees a lot of his tenants, and he can go into like wards, and he says a lot of men in there that are diagnosed with mental health issues, a lot of them smoke weed.
Yeah.
Then you look at other drugs. Cocaine gives you a lot of paranoia. Ketamine, I feel like everyone knows like what that does to you. LSD, I know there's benefits of having mushrooms, but obviously if you're taken in the right way. But everything is affecting the brain in some way. Alcohol, there's another one. Everything affects the brain and how you think, how you act, how you feel. And everyone just knows the term, doesn't it? Liverpool has probably got a drug problem.
Yeah.
Like especially like the nightlife part of it. So if we've got this consistent drug problem and we're in it culture of England where the drink is such a big thing,
Yeah.
we're bound to be, would you say we're overflowing with mental health?
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. But I think you've got to think, what came first, the chicken or the egg? You know, with drugs.
Yeah.
Because my dad was always into drugs, all kinds of drugs. But you've got to think he was going through stuff, so that's how it's in our community, isn't it? It's how we deal with it, you know, rather than if we're not like brought up to sit down and talk to your family, or if you can't, if you haven't got a family or your mates or whatever, you use stuff to try and just cope, don't you?
Yeah.
And then that can further exacerbate the issues that you've got mentally. Do you know what I mean? And compound them. When he died, he didn't have no drug in his system. He just, I think all the things that he'd done in his life just got on top of him, and he just lost the plot, and he didn't have appropriate support. But because he hadn't said he had an next of kin, he didn't say he had a daughter or not. I know I was only young at the time. They just thought he was on his own, so they just left him to it. Do you know what I mean? And that's the sad thing. Like, that's what I hate, lonely men, like, who haven't got any contact. So I just thought, well, if he's gone, like, I want to be able to help fellas in the community who are lonely or struggling, just try and improve their lives. That's basically what I want to do.
Yeah. When you say that you want to help men, what does like a normal day in the life at work look like for you when you're helping men? So, because this might make people feel a bit more easy to go and to get help. As well.
So when I was just clinical, now I'm doing research, which is a bit different. But when I was clinical, so I was a CBT therapist. So I'd see about 5 clients a day who were struggling either at risk of developing psychosis or psychosis. And I'd do the therapy with them, but I'd also assess like socially, like where they were. And like, for instance, one of the fellas I work with was on a ward and he was detained, and he thought he was an alien. And he barricaded himself in his house. So sorting all stuff out with him, like the council, getting his flat cleared out. He didn't believe his dad was his dad. Trying to build that relationship. He was taking drugs at the time, getting him involved in addiction and going there with him and just building that relationship with him, and then kind of easing into the therapy. That's the approach that we try and use. I think these early intervention services are brilliant because we've got all those resources there, but those services that you were talking about, like on the ward and like secondary care, community mental health teams, they just haven't got enough funding. So someone can be really ill in the community and then become really unwell, go in hospital, and then get discharged back out and then be on a waiting list for like 2 years for therapy. In the meantime, like, you know, you're popping pills or you become non-compliant, which you don't blame you because you've got all these horrible side effects, and then you become unwell again. So it's just, services aren't great, but I think there's little pockets of things going on in the community that people need to be aware of as well. I'm just starting to get aware of. Like, I know you talked to, was it Tracy, the J.H. Roberts Project and stuff like that, like counselling services and stuff in the community, because I think the NHS is, as much as it's great, it hasn't got enough funding, has it? And I think if anyone's got skills in the community, I think we need to move towards community ways of working. Do you know what I mean? And supporting each other. But yeah.
What's psychotherapy?
Psychotherapy.
Because I've read a book on it, but I can't remember, and it's a book called Man's Search for Meaning, and it's about a guy who was he was actually in Auschwitz, a concentration camp, and he's a psychotherapist now. Yeah. Like, so, but I can't remember what it actually was. So can you tell me what it is?
Yeah. So there's different types of modalities of different types of psychotherapy. So obviously I do CBT. You've got mindfulness-based therapy. You've got somatic therapy. It's just a broad umbrella term for a different range of types of therapy that you offer. But CBT basically works around your thinking and your behaviour. So we look at how you're stuck in a kind of cycle. We kind of look at your life experience, your early experiences, how they develop your core beliefs about yourself and others. And then kind of situations that are happening recently that can kind of trick off, you know, like those kind of early factors, those kind of beliefs can kind of, you can end up in a cycle of like unusual thinking or negative thinking or behaving, and how your behaviour compounds that. So we kind of look at trying to help someone move towards more healthy thinking and behaviours by kind of working cognitively with them, doing different interventions, but doing the behavioural stuff as well to test out, is that true? Did that work? And doing that over time. But yeah, psychotherapy is a massive term for like a number of different therapies. There's all kinds of therapies.
What is healthy thinking? Like, what does that look like?
Whoa!
Yeah, I'm intrigued by that.
That's a big question, isn't it? So if we're thinking about cognitive distortions, we call them in CBT, so it depends on what someone's suffering with. So if someone's depressed, for example, having that kind of black and white, all or nothing thinking, like everything's terrible, I'm the worst person in the world. Or if someone's got like paranoid ideation, so he just looked at me funny in the street, she thinks this about me, that kind of stuff. So we tend to try and work with people to not correct the thinking, but kind of challenge it in partnership with them gently over time through different kind of techniques that we use, and then try and rewrite that thinking to make it a little bit more in line with what's actually going on.
Yeah, because, oh my God, this lines up perfectly. I've been waiting to talk about this, even though we just started. Have you ever heard of the chimp paradox? Mind management.
Chimp? Do you mean like the chattering chimp when you're trying to be mindful and you've got the...
No, so you've got your frontal part of the brain and then you've got your limbic, which is the emotional side of thinking. I can't remember, it was by Dr. Stephen something, but it's called the chimp paradox. And I'm so excited to talk about this now. So basically, the chimp is your limbic, and that's your emotional part of it, and that is the first thing that receives information into the brain. And if it doesn't see it as a threat, it then passes on to the human, which is the frontal part of your logical thinking.
Yeah.
Now, it says in the book that your chimp is 5 times stronger than your human part of the brain. So, and then to put it into more perspective, if you were to fight a real chimpanzee, they're 5 times more stronger than you, so don't try and fight it, try and work with it kind of thing. That's where a lot of us seem to have that, he's looking at me, what's this, what's that, because we're in constant threat all the time. We're constantly just fight or flight.
Fight or flight,
Yeah, and I was reading, what was I listening to? It must have been a podcast. It was the podcast with Stephen Bartlett, the one we spoke about before. She was saying that years and years and years ago, when we used to go out and have to hunt for food, we would be always, just a bit cautious in case the tiger wants to come and get us. But nowadays we don't have that. But because we've got a constant underlying level of stress, we're constantly in fight mode. Everything is always a threat to us. Bills, letters, got to pay for this, got to go and do this. There's no like relaxation. But back in the day, I'm saying that like it was in the 80s, thousands of years ago, we would run away from the tiger, get out of fight or out of our flight zone, and then we'd be able to relax then because the threat's gone. But because we're constantly living in it, we've constantly got that underlying stress, and we can't seem to get out of that flight zone now anymore. And now that is where we're now starting to see more and more mental health issues come, because the constant stress that we've got on the body, we can't, on the brain, we can't cope with it anymore.
Yeah.
No, so...
Have you looked into like Gabor Mate's work?
No.
And like the body keeps the score.
I don't want to read that. That's in my basket, you know.
The body keeps the score is a revolutionary.
It's about trauma, innit?
Yeah, but we're all traumatized. Like it's how you store trauma in your body and your brain. And like it goes back to stuff you were talking about, but over the years how that builds up and how it manifests in your everyday life and how to get that out. But yeah, I'd recommend that book. Bessel van der Kolk.
That's my next book that I'm going to read.
Yeah, you should. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
What's it called?
The Body Keeps the Score.
You'll have to send me a link to that.
So it's about like, even though your brain might not remember trauma, your body will always remember, and that's why you've got like fight and flight, and because it's your body remembering.
Yeah, well, like I said, because we're working on autistic schools, so we work with a lot of trauma and a lot of sensory, a lot of therapy. And there's a girl in our school, and she doesn't remember what happened to her when she was a young girl, but her body does. Yeah. So she always has like this fight moment, or she gets really scared, and obviously that's then when a flight comes in. But like you say, the body remembers. Yeah. But she can't physically remember what's happened to her.
And that's and that's what we do in cognitive therapy with trauma, because your body and your mind are amazing. It tries to protect you, so it does shut down. And you that's why people describe like out of body experiences, you know, if they go through sexual trauma or whatever. But it's always stored there. And cognitively, we try and rewrite that memory or rescript it and do all that work. But then you are left with that bodily legacy. Do you know what I mean? And that's where that stuff comes in, like what Bessel van der Kolk talks about, like all the somatic therapies, like yoga, movement, EFT, stuff like that. Because I think in Western society, we just look at the body and mind as separate, don't we?
Yeah.
When we're one, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah, that's a very Eastern comment, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're all one, we're connected. but it is true, though, isn't it? Yeah, because you're big on meditation, aren't you?
Yeah.
And finding like that
I love
connection.
it.
Do you do
Have
it
you
as
tried
well?
Insight Timer?
Yeah, I used to have that app, you know,
Yeah,
and you
I
can like
love
track
it.
it all, like your hours and that. Yeah.
When I was dead ill, I was using that like 2 hours and 20 minutes average a day. Yeah.
Was you?
Brilliant.
How
yeah.
long can you meditate for though? Like, I struggle with it, me. I'm not gonna
I do,
lie.
I do.
I get about 15 minutes in and I'm like, my mind's going.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I need to move. You know what I mean? Start thinking about like what I'm gonna have for breakfast and like, do you know what I mean? But
That's why I like guided ones.
Yeah, they help you,
Yeah,
don't they?
they help. Yeah. I think Insight Time is amazing. And Paloo's Mindfulness. Don't know whether you've heard of that.
No.
That's an online free program. That was set up by. God, I'm trying to think of the fella's name. He's brilliant. He pioneered it in Yale or Harvard. And then another fella who done it with him, he took it upon himself to, I'm trying to think of his name, it'll come back to me. He took it upon himself to set up like retreats and stuff for people, but there's loads of research around it, and they were running it in Harvard and Yale, as I say, because there was like all high, like professionals coming in with like loads of heart issues and stuff, and stress. And they do this mindfulness-based stress reduction program with them, and they'd noticed the health, like the scales and the stuff they were struggling with, come down rapidly. And they knew, they were doing brain scans and stuff and seeing the changes that people were going
sounds
through.
like
Immense.
Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Joe Dispenza's great, yeah.
Sounds like some of the work he does as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but into the same stuff.
Or me sat over here, you know.
Yeah, you do.
It always backs out and I don't like it.
Oh,
I don't know, I just... Yeah.
He'll get there.
I'll get
He will.
there, yeah.
Because it always seems to come back to, though, about moving, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Having the body
movement.
movement.
Yeah.
And that's why like it's so big with exercise. But I feel like the world that we live in as well at the minute, when people go, I go to the gym, obviously they're going for benefits, but it's like, lad, I go to the gym, you need to go to the gym as well, so people be put off. But have we forgot how much we actually need to move? How much we actually need to just get up and go for a walk? Because on the same podcast I was listening to before, she was saying that sitting down is causing more anxiety in the human brain now because the body's not moving as much as what it should be. So people that sit down for longer periods of time, whether it's sitting down in an office job for 8 hours a day, their mental health is at more risk of deteriorating through anxiety because they're not getting up and moving.
I noticed that massively with myself. So like when COVID came about and stuff, like I won't go into like my views on that or whatever, but because I can't really. I got like proper ill on New Year's Eve in 2020. Ended up getting a concussion because I fell down the stairs, and then ended up being told I had COVID. And then since then, I developed myocarditis because of it.
What is
like inflammation of the heart from an infection?
Yeah.
So it put me into heart failure. So pre-morbidly, prior to that, I was dead fit. I'd moved to Egbert to be by the park because I'd just blitzed around the park, and it was like, lockdown when everyone had to work from home and stuff. And I'm single, so I'd be like just going around the park because I was doing loads of my work online, and it really got to me, not having that human contact, and not like I always needed to be on the move, on the go. And then when I got dead ill with that, I couldn't move, and it literally, I lost the plot. I really did. So it does have a massive impact on your mental health. But since then it's given me POTS. I don't know whether you've heard of POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardic syndrome, where you from sitting to standing you can just faint, hit the deck. It's all to do with like your central nervous system, like dysautonomia. I can never pronounce it. But yeah, since that virus, haven't been jabbed, but since that virus, it's just I think that's wrecked a lot of people as well. A lot of people's health, mental health. I don't think the world's the same, is it? Since
No,
then?
not at all. Noisy bugger. Need to move that.
Keeps sliding over for some reason.
How's it move? On its own?
Oh, we haven't told you we got a ghost.
Have you?
Yeah, we got a ghost.
I'm into all that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Part 3.
I am.
What time's that on? So I can just cut it out.
39.
13, I remember that. Yeah, but because we were talking about apps then, I downloaded this app called Balance. And it's about meditation, and it's like a midday rest, walking, energize, joy, love, and kindness. It's all different types of ways to be able to get the brain to start moving. Well, not moving, obviously your brain doesn't move, it doesn't leave your head. But you know what I mean? Like it gets your brain to think different ways.
Yeah.
And that's a free app as well. Now, I haven't tried it yet, so I'm bigging her up without even trying it. But there are things out there though that can help with the brain, isn't there?
100%, yeah.
And obviously if you're going through, maybe let's say for instance COVID happens tomorrow, touch wood, stuff like that people probably need to get more of, don't they? Because if not going to be able to have that human connection, because don't they say energy between people is an actual thing?
Yeah.
Like there's actual like a genuine like energy that you can bounce off one another.
Yeah.
So that same podcast, I'm like, God,
How long was this friggin' podcast?
20 minutes. Same podcast she was going on about if a mother and a daughter are in the same room, their menstrual cycle can work off each other. It's an actual thing, and then she was chatting shit on that. But yeah, the menstrual cycle can like, bounce off of one another, and they can kind of go at the same time. Yeah, because of the body energy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I know, and I'm saying that's an absolute.
Well, everything's just energy, innit, when you think about it.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, like, don't know whether it's like advice, but like, have you ever heard of like letting go of emotions instead of fighting them? Like through the therapy work you do?
Yeah, well, that ties in with like acceptance and commitment therapy. Do you mean instead of like battling it and analysing it?
Yeah, basically, because that's what I do a lot. I battle and analyse my emotions, and I've been reading a book, Letting Go, and it's like talks about letting them emotions come up.
Yeah.
And then just observing them.
Yeah.
But how do you observe them? Like,
I always struggle with that.
Yeah.
Because they say observe it, notice it in the body. I always struggle with that. Where is it in my body?
Yeah, I'm like,
yeah.
so is it gone now? Or, and then it'll be back, and I'm like, am I doing this right?
Well, what do you mean? So you observe it?
You notice it, observe it. You don't fight it. You don't try and push it away. You notice where it comes up in your body, what you're thinking, and then you just kind of try and accept it and let it pass.
Yeah.
So basically, like in the sense of like, if you feel the anger, you can feel where anger's building up in you. Yeah. But that one is feeling what you're going through at the minute and observing it where it is and then letting it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds really confusing.
Yeah, it is.
like that, like sitting there talking to your hand, go away.
So, you know, like if you're feeling sad,
yeah,
like instead of like fighting, like, oh, why do I feel sad?
Accepting it.
Like, you know, and making yourself feel worse, you kind of acknowledge you're feeling sad in the moment, and then you can kind of let go of the sadness because you've acknowledged it and you've accepted it instead of fighting it, if that makes sense.
Well, you're going to love this. Well. Going back to that podcast, it was an because how I resonated with that then was, instead of saying why is this happening to me in that podcast, it said she said, don't say why is this happening to me. It changed and say what do I value and what do I really want. So it changed the mindset of all these things are bad happening to me. So they're going, well, what do I want out of this? Yeah. And then you start setting your goals from that. Obviously, it may not completely resonate to someone who's listening with what you've just said, but that's how I took it in my brain here, my frontal, not my chimp. But if you start changing how you look at stuff, and said, if you start setting goals to it, is it realistic, the goal? So instead of saying, oh, I can't go for a run because I've got bad knees. Why is this happening to me? Why do I have to be the person with bad knees? Instead of going, no, next week I'm going to go for a walk instead. I'm going to go up a mountain. Because then it changes how you think then towards the problem, and it gives you a goal to then look forward to. So it takes you out of that current mindset. And if you're constantly doing that, the chance of you being able to then go back into the state of mind of why me, why this, why that, and always asking yourself why to the questions that you don't have answers for, it's going to reducing like the stress that you've got in your body, reducing the anxiety that you've got.
Yeah.
So maybe issues like that of like, why am I sad? Why am I this? Why am I that? It might actually be able to help you with that and able to just then let it go that way because you just focus on other things then.
Yeah, true.
That's in alignment with values-based work that they do in acceptance and commitment therapy. Yeah, what are your values? How can you turn this problem, but how can you look at this problem and focus on, well, how can I make something out of that, rather than, as you say, like dwelling on the things that you can't do.
Isn't that what you've done? Like with your dad, for example? Like you could have went the other way and been like a victim to it, but you've got a like major career out of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And that's made me feel terrible, you know, like, oh, I've I haven't got something out of it at all, because obviously I'd rather have him back any day of the week, but we're healthy and happy. But I just thought you've got to use that pain, haven't you? And try and do something positive with it and make someone else's life a little bit better.
But you can only go 2 ways, can't you? You either go depressed and, you know what I mean, or you go the other way and you help people who've been through that. So, you know what I mean? And
I think if you've got that experience, someone's much more likely to work with you. No, you don't go around like showing it on a t-shirt like this has happened to me, but if you've got like that backstory as well and you're a bit more relatable, because I know like working with like local like people get on with you a lot more and respect you a lot more if you've got that education behind you. But yeah, she's just like me. She's just normal like me. She's not like, you know, middle class, like, you know, went and done a psychology degree and got looked after by mummy and daddy and then hasn't really seen or known the world, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's why I've been able to build really good relationships in therapy.
This question may not be the most relevant, but I feel like it will be. Do you feel like too many people try and be professional nowadays?
Yes.
Yeah, because like the job that I'm in, obviously the school, it's a professional setting, but I am the least professional member of staff you will ever meet. But I've got a great relationship with you know, every kid I'll speak to. There'll be the odd couple that don't like me, but you know. But I feel like we're in a world, aren't we, where too many people want to be professional, too many people want the status, they want the doctor, they want the teacher, they want the mister, they want the miss. And you have to respect me. Yeah. You have to give me this, you have to give me that. Instead of just going, no, with 2 people, I've went down one path, you've gone down the other, but come on, let's work this together. And having that relationship with someone is the biggest factor of them either going one way or another, I think, because how open they're going to feel to actually accepting you and coming into their lives. Yeah. Yeah. I was trying to figure out why it's so hot because Jay's got that on there.
You got the heater on?
Yeah.
Middle of summer?
Yeah. It's not even summer though, is it?
You sat right by it.
No, I was freezing, like, do you know when you just can't get warm? Like, I don't know what it was, so I was like, I'm putting that heater on.
You see what I mean? Like, we're really serious, but then we'll be absolute pistics.
It's basically a sauna in here now.
Oh, lad.
On a podcast.
I know, it's a good thing I've got a second top when I go to the gym. It's hard, lad. Yeah, but yeah, not sure fast though, that's killing me off.
I've seen your story about that. What is that?
Oh, right, so off topic, Shred Fast is intense. It's the most intense thing we've ever done. Me and Derek said he's waking up in pain every day as it goes on at the minute. Yeah, it's but it's so good for you though. But it's kettlebell workouts. Yeah. And we done it in this is free advertisement, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
We done it in the Heal Wellbeing Centre, which is just by the flyover where it got knocked down into town, just by there. But you go into there, it is really good, but it's a 40 degrees room. And the room is probably about 3 of these. Yeah. Maybe it's not that big, so about 3 of these, but 84 people on top of each other. And you're all just swinging these kettlebells and sweat flying everywhere. And all that. All the lads have got the tops off. I kept mine on because, you know, a bit bigger than everyone.
Do you have your top off, Sarah?
I had mine on. I was trying to keep it on, but then I thought, if I keep it on, it just means I'm a fat cunt. So I took mine off.
I kept mine on because of that.
Either way, I'm a fat cunt.
But yeah, but it is this thing, and it's gone massive, isn't it? I keep looking to you because you're the Shred Fast guy in the room. But it has gone massive, but we're all just in pain. Well, Jay's not so much. He was dead earlier on, but me and Derek are still in pain.
Oh, were you doing it as well?
Yeah, I do it anyway. Like,
oh, do you?
Yeah, so like, I do it at home, but like that was the first time I'd done it in a hot room. Yeah. It's a different level, but I've been 2 more times since I've done it for the first time. It's addictive.
2 more times. 2 more times. 2 more times. Sorry. So here's a question then to relate to everything that we're talking about. we were talking about movement before, wasn't we? And how important like getting up and moving the body, stretching the body, allowing the body to be a body. Where do you think you would be without Shredfast? Because if we're talking about that, let's relate it.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I wouldn't be who I am.
Yeah.
But that's with everything that I'm doing, not just the Shredfast. That's like the meditation, the journaling, you know, the positive habits, reading books. Like, I don't know who I'd be. It's scary to think who I would be. Do you know what I mean?
How did you get into all that? Like all the reading and the meditation and
because I got that low, I was like,
Yeah.
I need to, like, I don't know what it is, but have you ever heard of something called like the dark soul of night?
yeah, Dark Night of the Soul.
That's it, yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Oh my god!
And like, it's like
My twin.
Oh yeah, literally.
He's from Kirby as well.
Oh yeah.
Nah, I'm not. I told you I was from Everton before. No, but, so, can you explain what that is, or I feel like you'd explain it better
Dark
than me.
Night of the Soul.
Yeah. Or
Where you've gone that low, isn't it?
Yeah,
When you've just
basically.
hit that rock bottom and you're at a spiritual just deficit, aren't
Yeah.
you? But from there you can only build upwards, and you get that weird where you want to withdraw from everyone. Your habits start changing, and your mind starts going towards more positive stuff like that, doesn't it?
It's like an awakening, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Have you?
Yeah.
Are you into the holistic psychologist? Have you heard of her?
Yeah, she's boss.
she's
That
boss.
Nicole,
She's
Dr.
Nicole,
Nicole.
innit?
Yeah, she's unreal. Like,
Do you want to swap seats? Yeah. I feel so uneducated right now.
Are you into like Terence McKenna and all stuff like that?
Yeah. I love it.
Mad.
I love it. Yeah. I'm obsessed though. Like,
Yeah.
it's, I don't know whether it's a bad thing. I'm that obsessed. Like, my social media is just constant,
Yeah.
like, stuff like that.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? All
So it's
posts
fine.
and that. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of ready? Have you ever heard of the Peaceful page?
No?
Have you ever heard of the Peaceful book?
No?
No? Do you want to just have a look at that dead quick? Do you reckon that would help anyone? It's very, very simple, but very effective. Because obviously you're on the big things about books. Just little things like that.
Where did you get this from?
Just Amazon.
Oh,
Do you want to meet the author?
is it you?
It's Jay.
Is it you?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
So are you saying like you're obsessed and all that, but you've been able to put your obsession into something like that? And obviously the story that you've spoke about in the past.
Oh my god, that's amazing, Jay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh,
Would stuff like that help
I'll buy
people?
one of these.
You can have one up. Next when you do part 2, I'll bring one down.
Oh, nice one, too.
I was just going to say, if you want, you can have that one and then you just bring it down next time. Yeah.
You can keep hold of that one.
Yeah, I think that'd help people, because it's just like little bite-sized pockets of like, it'd be good if they were on like flashcards or something, wouldn't it? Or
Yeah,
just like taking a
I
picture
know.
on your phone or...
There you go. I actually thought about this as well.
I have myself, to be honest, but I'm just lazy sometimes.
Yeah, I was thinking that you could do an app, because I've got an app called Motivation on my phone, and it's just random quotes that just pop up on it.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same principle as that. But if you turn yours into an app. By the way, that book's 20 quid if you want to. Yeah.
I like that one. The kindest people have been through the hardest battles. I agree with that one. Defo.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show that there always is something, though, isn't it, that can help. Do you think the lowest of the low that you can get, there's always a way up? There's always a way out?
I believe it's down to your constitution, isn't it? Because as Jay said, it's like you could go one or two ways, couldn't you? You could just sink into a massive depression and not be able to get yourself out. But I think it's about who you've got around you as well.
Yeah.
Because I was like, a bit like my dad, I was like a proper proud person. Like I was dead. I wouldn't have dreamed of doing anything like this years ago. I was like very private because all my family were. And kept everything into myself, but would always help everyone else and didn't want anyone to see me as weak. Like I was less like feminine. I was more like in a masculine kind of mindset, you know, like no, I'm hard to everyone else. I look after everyone else. And then when I got dead ill, that was when I just hit rock bottom. And then like a couple of my family members noticed, one of my best mates, and they were just like, you can't carry on like this. And then I ended up going to stay with them while I was getting my house done and stuff. But like going off on a tangent, I think it's what resources you've got around you as well, isn't it? It's like who you've got around you, and how willing and like and open you can be with people about what you're struggling with. But I do think there's always a way out. But I do think it's not just all down to yourself. I think we all need to help each other. And I think, as we were talking about, some of the barriers that like people like my dad have faced and like Jay has faced in the past, that's what we need to overcome, really. I don't know if that's answered your question or I've just like been really tangential.
No, I think it has, because me and Jay had a conversation about it's down to your character.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got the character to go with that, but then you've also got the right support system around you, and you're willing to be open to that support, do you think there is a way?
Definitely.
Definitely, then.
I think, though, you've got to build that character.
Yeah, you can't just turn it on, can you?
Yeah,
You do
like,
have to...
You've got to do things to build that character.
How do you build it, then? Because if you haven't got it at that moment in time, where'd you get it from?
Right, you're right in what you're saying.
Start off small.
Yeah,
true.
What if someone needs it
Small
quick?
wins. Small, no, because there's no quick.
No, but I'm saying, what if someone needs the help quick, but it's going to take time to build a character?
But people can still get
Like-
through things, but then they'll still like go back to like, do you know what I mean? The old habits, the old ways, like, do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's that character.
Yeah, probably, because they always say, don't they, if it's like a chart and you're up, and but then you back down, like there's a bigger loop, then you back up. Everything's, as long as you're still going in the right direction, it's fine, isn't it? So
I want to know what like you've been through, like with your mental health struggles. Or do we, like, should we save that for...
You've got...
Well,
you
we can talk to each other on the next one if you want, or no, you're not doing it.
by the time you
Right.
next come back on,
Yeah.
he will be sat there. I will not take
Will
no
he?
for an answer.
Yeah, I'll be sat there next time.
He said he's going to co-host next week for one of our
Oh,
guests.
Bill.
Yeah.
And if that guest doesn't turn up, he's going to co-host anyway. I don't care.
Yeah, I've got no choice now, so...
I know he doesn't. I give him a lift here and back, so...
Yeah.
Use petrol on this kid. Fucking hell. Right. But
But you'd asked in terms of my mental health stuff. I think since I was younger, because I've never ever spoken about this either. Really, I think since I was younger, I've always been like a happy little soul, like wanting to make other people happy. But I've always struggled with my mood, just because of the stuff I went through when I was younger. And I kind of kept that to myself because there was only me growing up. Got no brothers and sisters, and my mum and dad were dead young when they had me. And my dad was never really there. My mum didn't know how to cope. So I just kind of, not brought myself up, but I was very independent from a young age. But I was very sad because my dad was just, didn't really give any of his affection or attention to me because he was lost in his own world and whatever. So yeah, I just struggled with my moods a lot. And like kind of my self-image and stuff like that. And then, yeah, I just always struggle with low moods and stuff. And then, yeah, I think when that happened to me dad, my mood took a nosedive, and I was kind of up to all sorts, and then bits of paranoia myself and stuff like that. But I think, yeah, I think it's an ongoing thing. I wouldn't say I was clinically low or whatever now, but yeah, God, I talk about that for ages, but I'm a bit like, I don't know, it's a bit too much going into.
yeah, that's
no,
fine.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
No worries.
Were you saying, because obviously the time it happened, you were 19,
Yeah.
you were, because one of the first things I thought of when you said that was, you've just turned 18, you'll be going to town, or like that's your life at the minute. Like that, so anyone that comes out to you, oh go away, leave this, leave that, which we all go through. But do you reckon that because we're so much younger, we're not aware of it as much as we should be if we are going through something, because we don't understand it?
Yeah.
People may look at us, may think, look down on us because of the age, anything like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Younger people have it harder.
Yeah, I think now, this day and age, I know when we were growing up, you're obviously younger than me, I don't know how old you are.
30.
26,
27. I was going to say 39.
He is. Yeah, he's younger than me. But when I was growing up, the kids nowadays are much more aware of mental health, like mental health awareness and stuff. In a way, sometimes, I don't want to say it, but people like wear labels as like, not badges on it, but like we're much more au fait with talking about things and being aware of stuff. But years ago, we weren't. I know I wasn't. No, I didn't really know what was going on with me. But yeah, I think there is a stigma when you're younger, isn't there? You don't know yourself. You're not developed enough yet. Your brain isn't developed. It's just a phase. You're just a teenager. It's just puberty. It's just this. Yeah. So I do think there are barriers for younger people, but I think services are a lot better. I don't think CAMS, child and adolescent mental health services, are great at all. Yeah, at all. Yeah, you will, won't you?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think your question was, what was your question? Did I know what was going on when I was younger?
No, just as in general, young adults.
Yeah, I think, as I say, I think there's a lot more awareness now. But I think kids and adolescents and whatever being taken seriously. But I think with the early intervention service that I'm part of, or I've been part of as well, I think those services are brilliant, but there's only little pockets of great work going on, isn't there? And it's like the bigger system like CAMS and stuff like that, which are a lot more flawed. So.
I say it was really intriguing when you said the badge of honour. Like, I can know where you're coming from with that. Do you reckon that children nowadays are so much more aware of it, know what things mean, know everything about everything nowadays, that they play on it? They can use it a bit more to their advantage. They can, I've got this, and obviously as professional members, you've got to take that on board and you've got to help them. You can't just be like, no. But is that going to have a negative impact for the world?
I think so. I feel that controversial going into it, but like loads of people now, I don't want to say it.
I'll say it for you, so you don't get in trouble. Everyone's got anxiety. Everyone's got depression. Every kid's got ADHD. Every kid's got autism. Everyone has now got something.
Yeah.
Like, there was a story that my brother told me.
Do you think labels are bad then?
To be labelled, you've got something.
Like, I've got this. Like, so what? Does that mean you're stuck with it? Like, you know, I've got anxiety. I've got depression. I've got bipolar.
It's
like,
an
does
excuse.
That keep you stuck?
I think it's an excuse for people to not do something. Now, some people will have chronically will have it, and they do need help. But I think the words are thrown about so much now that you may be going through a bad time.
Yeah.
So
I'd rather just say I'm struggling.
Going back to that podcast.
I want to know what this podcast is.
At all. Well, it shows I'm starting to learn stuff now, and I'm taking on board like the advice that you give. There's a huge difference between depression and anxiety and burnout.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are feeling burnout and the symptoms of that.
Yeah.
And they label it as depression and anxiety. Now, they can be, as a front cover, they can be quite similar with some of the things that you can go through. But to be like clinically depressed and really struggling with anxiety, people are now saying, oh no, I've got anxiety, oh no, I've got depression, oh I've got this, I've got that. But really, you're going through stress and you're going through all of the other burnout symptoms.
But what about if people have got trauma?
Yeah.
Then that's more of an actual diagnosis that they need to go through then, isn't it? It's not really burnout then, because...
So then they've got anxiety, they've got depression.
Yeah, but it's the same, but because that's trauma, not burnout.
No.
And like the world that we live, because...
Well, most people are traumatised though.
Yeah, and we don't assess for that properly. And I've just went to tell you off for doing that with the table. You told me not doing that. I'm just doing it. Yeah, because we don't assess it routinely, do we? Because depression and anxiety are more prevalent, aren't they? But trauma, GPs don't routinely screen for it, do they? I know we do assessments in the services that I work in, like the ACE test. Have you heard of that? Like. No. I scored off the Richter scale on that, and Dr. I think Nicole LaPerera talks about that. And if you score off that, your chances of having all these labels that are thrown around in the Western world are multiply. But yeah, it's trauma stored in the body. Yeah.
Why do we go through so much trauma then?
It's life trauma, isn't it?
Yeah, because.
It's your attachments, isn't it? It's your upbringing.
They said a lot of young people, and like probably early 20s, this relates to as well, I've got a lot of trauma through COVID.
Really, yeah.
Yeah, they say that there's a lot of trauma through that because
You're not hitting your milestones, are you? You're not interacting with your mates.
No, exactly.
No.
Like, I find it dead sad that kids just sit in and game all day now.
I know. I can't understand it.
We were always playing out.
I know.
Yeah.
But isn't trauma just like a feeling of not feeling safe in your body?
Yeah.
Basically.
Essentially, yeah. Whether consciously or unconsciously, and it can show up somatically, can't it? And weird, unexplained, like medical symptoms and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we're all traumatized to a certain point.
Yeah, we all do have it, don't we?
Yeah.
But it's
It's
mad
just
because
whatever.
like even little things like being neglected or like, you know, not getting your needs met as a child, like that, you wouldn't think it, but that can be trauma.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Just to not counter it, just to add more to that, neglect is a massive thing. Like, a neglect's probably bigger than what
Huge.
you think it is.
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, because if you're a child and you've got like a mum and dad there and you've been neglected of love, like your whole childhood is just, in a sense, half non-existent.
Even if like you can't express yourself properly to your parents or you're scared, like it's like trauma as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you assessed your attachment style?
No.
You should do that.
What is
Isn't that
it?
like avoidance?
Yeah, disorganized.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
anxious avoidance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how you show up in life in your relationships and stuff.
How would I do that?
Well, I can send you stuff. There's tests online and stuff, and Bowlby's theory of attachment's really great. The circle of attachments and how you develop through like not all getting your needs met, like having a secure base to return to, and kind of, because we're like little mirrors, aren't we, as we're growing up? Like we go out and test something or try and seek comfort or reassurance, and if we haven't got that, we can kind of internalize the response and get really down on ourselves and stuff, which I know all too well. Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like I want to learn so much about myself. I really do.
I think that's the way forward to like healing, isn't it?
Definitely.
And recovering, yeah.
Knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Why do you think we're so attached to things?
To things or
Or
people?
to people, like everything. Why are we so attached to life?
Why are we attached to life?
Does that make sense? Like, but you know,
Are you enlightened or what?
no, but we are, aren't we? Like,
Yeah.
everything we're just attached to.
Because we're social animals, we're mammals, aren't we?
Yeah.
We need that affiliation with others, you know, and that's probably why COVID was so stressful for teens, because you need that comfort of having like relationships with others, don't you? And I know that's why I struggled for so many years, because I was like, no, I'm dead hard, no one can know what's going on. And then I had burnout, massive burnout. I got forced off work a few times because I collapsed, because I was that stressed. I was working like 18 hours a day. I was just obsessed with work. I was just shutting everything out and just focusing on work. And like, I was helping other people, but I was cutting everyone away for like what was going on with me at the time. So, but I do think, connections are very important.
Yeah, well, they are, aren't, like you said, we're social animals, social mammals. Like, we do need to have that physical and intellectual connection with someone. And would you reckon we need that daily?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like a little day to myself where I don't see anyone.
Oh yeah, I do. I do.
But,
What do you mean, lad?
I think we do need some sort of like social
Yeah,
kind
definitely.
of communities, and that are good as well, aren't
Yeah.
they?
Yeah, it makes us feel good, doesn't
As
it?
you were saying, like
Yeah.
local communities,
Yeah,
stuff like
definitely.
that. Yeah.
Well,
And I
you-
think
go on.
moving the focus away from ale and partying, because it's just vacuous, isn't it? Just like going out and getting on it, but what it's just like, you seem like a lovely friendship group. Do you know what I mean? And I think I think having that support and being able to talk to people openly is just important. But I think loads of like people of our like demographic don't really do that, and they don't socialise in that way. It's more around like just going out and getting bevies or whatever.
Can't
Do you
even
know what I mean?
remember what you were saying. To
Yeah,
each other
yeah,
when you're
yeah.
trying to
Sham
shut
wham.
that.
Yeah.
I thought you was going to say, I can't remember what you've just said. Repeat that again, please. But then I find this like fascinating. When you stop going out and doing them things, like the social connections that involve drinking, you lose friends.
Yeah, your circle changes, doesn't it?
Yeah, big time. Big time.
For the better, but it can be hard initially, can't it?
I feel like
Yeah.
you've got to grieve.
Yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah, 'cause especially if you've been friends with them for years, that's been your life, and then it's a big change.
Because I know you cut ale out, didn't you? You were saying, I
You
think,
stalking me?
I was looking at you. Stuff.
Caught it out now.
I needed to know where I was coming. Some random guy. No, but I did. I started doing that because I lost my granddad at the very end of November, and he was like a massive, massive, massive part of my life. He was like my hero. And I just took it bad. I'm not like, we don't really talk like that much in our family about like what we're going through, and I was just like, well, he was old, you know, he had leukemia, and that it is what it is, it happens. So I just, I was drinking a bit too much, and I just thought it's just wrecking me health, I just don't feel good, and then stopped, and then you just notice, don't you? Your interests change, and who you want to be around, and what you want to do at your time.
That's good, because that's growth, like, we're meant to change and grow, do you know what I mean? So, like,
I just found that your whole mindset changes.
Yeah.
Does what you want to do.
Yeah.
You become more, there's a lot more clarity in you, and that you just like, no, that's not who I want to be. That was who I was pretending to be.
More present in life.
Yeah.
Like, no hangovers.
Yeah.
No worrying about what you've said to people or what you've done. It's just like more peaceful.
But that's another way to reduce anxiety, isn't it? Because you're not thinking about, because like people say, I get proper bad anxiety the day after I drink.
Yeah.
So imagine
I
using
anxiety.
Really bad, me.
Proper.
Imagine
Like
doing that every
paranoid.
weekend. That'd be rough.
Yeah.
Well, it was
Proper
rough.
low. You get low, don't you? It's depressing.
Depressions, innit?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And people see it as an antidepressant.
No.
Do they?
I would say
Temporarily, it can give you lower your inhibitions, make you feel a bit ooh, but then like the after effects are just
like the word antidepressant probably is strong to use, but it's a coping mechanism. It's an escape.
Approach,
it's to get you away from the things.
But why is it legal? Why is it legal? Why are loads of other things not legal when they should be legal?
Exactly. We'll have them conversations off camera. But I don't know. It's a money thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like with pharmaceuticals, why is so many drugs like just like a normal thing? Obviously, you will need some, but money, dollar.
Big pharma.
Big pharma.
Yeah.
Big pharma. You've got 6 minutes. Yeah.
Oh God! Oh my God! That put me on the spot.
That was like something off Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or The Chase or something. You've got 6 minutes. I'm gonna ask. You've got 6 minutes. I'm gonna ask you 6 questions.
Go
I need first answer.
I was just making you aware.
You've got 6 minutes. I'll bounce it back to you. What do you want to do with those 5.5 minutes?
Only got 4 left now.
I was just making people aware at the time.
Okay.
God, Jesus Christ, what are you all getting on me for?
No, it was just funny the way you done it. It was like something off a host, like a show or something.
For 6 minutes.
Countdown.
Oh God.
Do you feel like though that you've covered everything that you want to cover today?
Probably not. I'll probably go away and think, I shouldn't have talked about this. I should have talked about this. But what I want to say about the suicide thing, there's loads of resources out there, you know, for people who've been bereaved by suicides. I don't know whether you're aware of like Paul's Place.
Yeah.
They were amazing with me because I didn't go to anyone for 9 years. I just didn't talk about it. I just coped with it in the wrong way. And then I went to SOBS, don't know whether you know them, Survivors of Bereavement by Suicide.
No.
That's for people who've lost someone by suicide. And then I ended up going to Paul's Place and having counselling through them, and they were amazing. But it just took a long time to get there. So it's just like people being aware of this stuff, and we need like a directory, don't we? Of like not just like NHS numbers and like the Samaritans and A&E. We need like a community directory, I think, of like local services and stuff that people can access for different kinds of things. Because I only knew about that Jade Roberts project recently through listening to one of the podcasts. But there's loads of stuff out there, isn't it? It's just knowing and just being able to access it. There's loads of stuff out there. But yeah.
All right, we'll get on that then. We'll start sharing the numbers and
reckon-
contacts.
I reckon
You've
we
got
should,
1 minute left, so.
1 minute 30 actually.
Stop it.
No, but do you reckon in the future then, like, we can get to a place where people are more comfortable talking and, like, you know, getting into therapy, and do you reckon there'll be progress, or do you reckon?
Definitely, I hope so. It's just the resources that we need. Like the NHS is stretched a bit, but then I think like there's loads of people being trained in like psychology and counselling and stuff. It's just where you put the money in the services, I think. Because secondary care has not got loads of funding, but I think if there's like services like I know we keep mentioning the Jade Roberts project and community services where people can give like a couple of hours at a time who've got qualifications like I have, like I'm BABCP accredited and stuff. I'd be happy to, if I had like 3 slots of time and whatever, just give them back. Do you know what I mean? But it's about people linking in and becoming aware of who's who and who can do what. That's why I was talking about like a directory and just, sharing skills. I think that's the way forward. I know I keep harping back to like community spirit, but we've lost that, haven't we? But I think that's what we need to go back to now, because this government's not going to do anything for us.
I was going to say, I feel like I'll be the person to take the punches from audience, but I feel like if we do get a different government or stuff like that, will be better.
I hope so.
Money will go into probably in the better direction.
Get us in.
We need.
Yeah, let's make a party.
30 seconds. Only messing. No, but I do think that I feel like it's the overseer of the country where the funding comes from, and then it all trickles down into us, and then it goes into your communities. I feel like people are trying to do the best they can. The Paul's Place, Jay's Brothers projects, ourselves, what we do here, yourself, what you do. We've got the right people in the country, but we just don't have enough funding to be able to do it.
And it's like voting for your local councillor as well, isn't it? You know, Barry Ringside, exactly, he's great. But it's like voting for your local like councillors rather than the big like.
Tories.
Yeah, definitely not them. Definitely not them.
Have you got anything that you want to ask us?
Oh God.
I always found this part of the podcast really interesting.
God, yeah, I'd want to say like, how the hell did you get into this? How did you start doing this? Where did it come from? How did you all meet? You know, that kind of thing.
What one do you want to know first?
How did you just build this? Well, like, not build it physically, but how did you get into doing this?
I always wanted to do content creation. I wanted to do YouTube and stuff like that. I wanted to be a big YouTuber, play the games and just chill all day and sit in my room for 4 hours a day.
You're glad you didn't do that now.
Oh, yeah.
Full of anxiety.
I would have been a fatter bastard than what I am now. But then I always thought, I want to do a podcast. I always found them interesting. This is like the time I was really into Joe Rogan. So I remember writing down like names and that. And I came up with the original idea and I sent it into them once. I remember I sat in the living room with my mum's. It was called How's Life, because it was just all thing about society, anything along them lines. And then I went through my stints just after COVID of my mental health, where in a warehouse, mental health deteriorated really bad. Thought I want to do something different with my life. Done that and still had the idea of the podcast, but I thought, no, I want to do something a bit more of a niche of what it is. So then I came up with the idea of the Marvel podcast. And then, how long do you reckon I was talking about it for?
Maybe about a year, do you reckon, before you'd actually done it, do you mean? Or,
yeah.
Yeah, you like said you want to do it and then, I don't know, you just started doing it.
Yeah, it just happened, it just built. Yeah, it's probably about that amount of time. And then,
tested it, lad.
Yeah. So I was always looking for equipment, how to do it. I was always just trying to figure out how to work the equipment. And then it just came to a point where my mum and dad was like, listen, we're going to buy this for you. So they went and bought this, and then I bought all the stuff for the inside of it. And we're here to this day.
And you were just mates anyway?
We met in school.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we've been like all close mates since year 7.
Wow.
So like, I used to tether him in school.
Yeah. I used to pick him up by his ears. Like,
I've got big ears. Yeah, we met in school. Yeah.
So we've always stayed close mates as well. Like we've had like times where we've distanced ourselves from each other, but that's just because life kind of thing.
Doing my head in.
Yeah. Still does do me head. But yeah, so we've just been mates ever since, and obviously doing stuff like this has brought us closer again.
Kind of aligned on the same like mission, do you know what I mean? We want to get like people talking about like, you know, the likes of therapy, mental health, and like getting it out there and talking about our struggles and making people feel comfortable talking about their struggles. So we're all like, we've got the same mission, do you know what I mean? So works well.
And just do this primarily for your day job, or you've got different work and stuff?
Does this to make money?
Oh yeah, you work in a school. Do you use?
No, I work in a factory, like but
Derek's a spark.
I don't plan on being there for much longer.
Oh God, because you used to sparkle. I've had a nightmare trying to get my house done up, but it's done now.
Why do you just like candles instead, man? Yeah, but no, we're a long way off of being able to make any money at all from this. From making our first penny, it's still a long way off. This is just a hobby, I'd say, isn't it?
I
If
feel
I'm in
like,
a
though, like,
hobby with a
money
purpose.
comes,
Passion project.
innit?
Yeah,
Money
passion, I
always
like
comes,
that.
like when you're doing the right thing, and right now it's not about money, is it? It's just about getting it out there. And, do you know what I mean? Just,
Yeah, because like I was saying to these, if we ever do make money, I don't think we'd even take anything to profit. This would probably just get put back into it.
Yeah.
And then just make it better, and then we can get bigger guests, we can get more awareness,
Yeah.
and we can get more people on like yourself as well, and then start branching out and just keep going from there.
Oh, Bill. Wish you every success with it.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then when
Well
you
done.
come back for part 2 and then part 3 and then part 4,
And you'll be joining. Yeah.
don't worry,
Yeah.
we've got 4 microphones. It's fine. You
Oh,
can
have
join.
you?
Yeah.
This must have cost a pretty penny, all this.
This only
Yeah.
£100 off Facebook Marketplace.
Really?
No.
The mic.
Oh, I was going to say, bloody hell.
Yeah, it weren't cheap.
right.
It weren't cheap, but it's worth every penny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
About 500 grand in total.
Yeah, 500 grand. I know. I had to sell me
Where are
house.
you pulling out, did you?
I had to sell me house. I had to, I feel like no matter what I'm going to say, you're going to believe me, aren't you?
I hate you.
Yeah, it was, it weren't 500 grand. It cost a little bit, but yeah, not 500 grand.
Yeah, hopefully you'll make it back. You're doing a good thing.
450 about.
Stop it.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
It was 100 grand, 500 grand, 100 pounds.
Yeah. 3 minutes over.
What time are we on? Oh, God, yeah.
33.
She'll be outside.
Yeah. But no, I want to really say thank you for coming on today.
Oh, no worries at
You're
all.
actually like the first person I've always wanted, like in a sense, like a doctor, someone with a real proper background to come on. And you're the first person, and I'm actually so happy that you've reached out to us, you know.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I am, and you best not come back for part 2.
I will, defo. I
Tomorrow.
thought, will I be relatable? Because all these people are just...
After Manchester, coming back.
We'll wait.
yeah, I thought, so, will it align? But then I just thought, I'd just ask.
No, I feel like it's aligned
Yeah, I
perfectly.
think it's been good.
Perfectly,
yeah,
though.
If you've got any questions for me, you can like send me them and I can like have more of a proper think about them and like a thoughtful response, you know, in terms of like healthcare system.
Yeah, but
and
next
stuff.
Do you mean on the next podcast?
Yeah,
you can answer
yeah.
them.
Next time we'll have more
Yeah.
structure then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, no
Yeah,
worries, yeah.
We'll have more structure in the next
Whatever
one.
you need, yeah.
Whatever we need. We need a social media. Oh wait, no, that's no.
No, God, I can't do anything like that.
No, I was going to say things that I'm actually trying to find for the podcast, but you can't provide
Oh, what are they, like social media stuff?
managers and that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, don't worry, you can't help with that. But no, I've really enjoyed today's one.
I have.
It's been really good.
Thank you.
good,
Yeah.
Thanks for your time, lads.
Yeah. Have you got any questions you want to ask before we go?
No.
Not at all. Not at all.
No.
What are you doing with the rest of the day?
Gym.
Gym, you're going, aren't you? That's what you said.
Oh, did I? Oh, gym after here and then go back home and be with the dog.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is this your dad's? Your mum and dad's?
Yeah, I grew up here.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't live far from you, just live in Morton.
Oh, do you? Oh, God, yeah, you mentioned.
Yeah, we'll go for a walk around Shefton.
Okay. Where'd you? Yeah, you're Everton, aren't you?
Yeah.
Where are you?
I'm on Kenny, mate, just...
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where did you all go to school then?
St. Francis, just there.
over there.
In the CC.
Oh, not SFX. Is it
No.
SFX?
That's St. Francis of Xavier. We went to St. Francis of Assisi.
Oh, right, okay.
What school do you go?
All Saints.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Where's that again? Anfield.
Kirby.
Kirby.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Audible
think it's
school.
Anfield.
No. Audible school, Kirby's back with like. But... yeah. Right. What?
Impressive.
Oh, we still
Yeah.
on? We still rolling?
We were chatting away. So yeah, that was Lauren's podcast, and I know it was absolutely brilliant. The way that she speaks, the way she talks, she's so clued up, and you can see that she's got real passion in there. Everything that he and Jay spoke about was absolutely brilliant. It shows that there are people out there that really want to do good for the world, that want to do good for men, that want to do good for anyone, to be able to get the help. So if you did resonate with this, if you do know anyone that could benefit from this, please send it on to them, because it might actually help save a life. But that is everything from us today. So please go and like, go and subscribe, and make sure that you catch us in the next episode. Right, bye now.